complaining. Feel like I'm talking to
I would like to call the business meeting of the Bluff City Board of Mayor and Aldermen to order. It's Tuesday, March the 6th at 6 p.m. This is a business meeting, not a court of law. Welcome each of you here tonight. Anyone wanting to comment has 3 minutes in the first session and 3 minutes in the second session. Citizens' comments. The board members do not have to comment unless they want to. Anyone wanting to comment must come to the podium and give their name, address, and phone number. No talking during the meeting. If you want to talk while the meeting is going on, you must go outside or to the hallway. Others want to be able to hear. You can be asked to leave if you are out of order. If you have a request for information, you must come to the office at City Hall during the office hours, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, and fill out the proper request. Roll call, please, Sharon.
Alderwoman Madison. Here. Alderman Stratton.
Yes, here.
Vice Mayor Harrington.
Here.
Alderman Harris. Smith.
Here.
Alderman Bowles.
Here.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is a prayer by Alderman Jack Stratton, immediately following this pledge allegiance to the flag.
Precious Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this another day. We pray for everybody's family and our neighbors, and God, just be with us as we decide to do the work here in Bluff City. God, just once again, I want to thank you for your love and your grace. It's in His name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next thing is discussion and action on the regular meeting minutes of January the 2nd, 2018. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Take a vote, please.
Alderwoman Madison.
Yes.
Alderman Stratton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington.
Yes.
Alderman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bowles.
Yes.
The next thing on the agenda was information from our engineer, David Wilson with Madam and Craig. He will not be here tonight because he's stuck in Nashville. So we'll move on to discussion and action. The audit report, Rutherford Moss and Company, Mr. Curtis Moss. We will have this report from the auditor, and the board will be asking questions and everything. And then immediately following the audit report from Mr. Moss, we'll have citizens' comments. Mr. Moss.
Step up here. Good evening.
Good evening.
And I'll go ahead and apologize because my eyes are not working very well, so I'm going to try to read this without a lot of light. So, my name is Curtis Morrison. I'm from Rutherford Moss. I think we've now done this audit, your audit, for a couple of years now. And as you'll be able to tell when we get further in here, there was some improvement year to year. You'll notice that there were several findings that were corrected from the previous year. But I wanted to go through. I'll do a little bit more than I normally do, just because I just want to make sure everybody understands what we're doing. Getting into like the first introductory section, there's a letter there from the mayor. She's giving you kind of some overall information of what's happened during the year. Following that is just the board members as of June 30th. And then you get to our opinion. And I just wanted to point out that we are independent. And we are, when we do this, we have to give an opinion on if we believe that the financial statements are materially correct. What that means is that we don't audit it down to the dollar. We just make sure that it's reasonable and that it doesn't misrepresent the status of the city. And we've done that on those pages there, 4 or 5. It's a long opinion. But getting into page 6 is where you get into what I consider the most important section. And it's called Management's Discussion Analysis. And in this, you will see comparisons to the prior year. And it's if you were going to read just a few pages, I would suggest this area. It's good narrative along with summaries of the information, that there's a lot of detail in the back, but it's just good overall. Learn about it. A couple things I wanted to point out. You've got business type revenues, which increased 10% during the year, and then your general fund reported an increase of $321,000 during the year. Notice we say increase, not income, because you're not a business overall. But it's just important to point out there's a couple things, and that's on page 6, and then page 7 is just a little bit more information, and going on to 8 and 9. I wanted to talk about a few things on page 10. If you look towards the bottom, you look at the net cost of the city of Bluff City's governmental activities. Year over year, your total cost decreased roughly $150,000. So you actually had some improvement there. And with an increase in revenues, that made up for the difference of why you see an increase in your fund balance. So I just thought it was worth pointing out to those as you read through these, that you kind of see those trends which matter. Let's get through a couple more pages. When you're looking at pages 13 and 14, those are, it's called the Statement of Net Position and the Statement of Activities. When you're looking at these two pages, keep in mind that these are not the way you normally see your financials. These are what's called government-wide, and this is as if you were a business, and this reports everything. And there's reconciliations on some other pages, but these, if you look at these and then you look at what you're used to in your monthly, it's not going to look the same because they are really different. This is full accrual and everything like that, which is not the way that you're used to seeing your information. I just wanted to touch base on that just to keep so you're aware of that. But you'll also see in here that even on full accrual business type, you would be, you're looking at a change in net position of $615,000 to the positive, which 228 of that was from the business, which is your water. And then 387 this way is through the general government. And I'll get to what's kind of happened with the water. You had the state mandated increases to get you to a positive, which now you're there, which is good because you're not allowed to have a loss in business type activities. So, looking at page 15, one of the things I wanted to kind of highlight is you're looking at cash and cash equivalents. One of the things that I thought I would point out is, as far as your cash goes, you have approximately 6 months worth of operating expenses in there, and obviously your cash flows do not flow constantly. It depends on what month it is and when you're getting funds, so that's probably necessary. I've always had citizens be like, well, why do we need that much? Well, because your funds do not come in every month and you're not paid regularly. You get a couple of times a year where you get a lot of money, and then you have to make it through the rest of the year. On page 16, you'll see a reconciliation from your fund balance, which is the way you're normally looking at it, to your overall governmental, just so you can see the differences there, and that's kind of, it gives you all the detail of what's changed. One of the things, I just wanted to kind of point out, if you look at fines and forfeitures on page 17, that is a good chunk of your revenue. I don't know if you've extended the agreement for that's coming from your traffic thing, and as long as it's going, if that goes away, that's a lot of money to make up. Just wanted to point that out. That is.
Is the police department in that part there too?
The placement department below was in the expenditures. It's and they run $850,000.
Yeah, pretty good.
So that pretty much pays for your police. Just so you're aware of that. I just thought that was just important to point out. Like I said, the change in fund balances was $328,000, and
When the camera money goes away, that's going to be really dicey for us, ain't it?
it's yeah, it'll be interesting. You all will definitely have a few things to figure out. It's very handy, but I just wanted to make sure when you're looking at these, you're aware of what that is, so that you know where you are and where you will be. Year over year, I'm getting into the budgets on page 19. The one thing, whenever you're over budget, it always sounds bad, but when you're talking about revenues, that's usually pretty good. And your budget for revenue your actual was over your budget by roughly $25,000. So again, that's still pretty good, when you're guessing a few months in advance on where it's going to come in at. So a good job budgeting there. And as you go through down the rest of the page, you'll see that almost all of these revenues came in about budget, except for your local taxes, which were over. On page 20, that starts your expenditures. And normally I would highlight any big changes, but if you look at page 20 and 21, nothing was severely over or under budgeted. It was all pretty close. It was all said and done after the final budgets. Most of them were slightly under by just a little bit. And at the end of the day, your expense came in under $159,000 over what you had predicted. Which was contributed to your increase in fund balance. So.
Here on page 17 where we changed for service driving school fee, that's real good for $7,500 for this year, and it's increasing a little bit there.
Yep.
I didn't realize it's that much. That's very good.
Fairly good. And as you can see, general government virtually the same. Let's see, jump over here. I know there was a couple of things. On page 22, statement of net position. This is for the proprietary fund, which is the water, sewer, and the solid waste. And the balance sheet part of that. And at the end of the day, your cash and cash equivalents for both of those combined are roughly $700,000. And it's important to note when you're looking at these, you have to understand that a lot of the value in your proprietary funds is in your fixed assets. So if you're looking at capital assets on here, your real value is basically $4 million is where that's all at. That's just to keep that in mind. When you're looking at your total net position at the bottom on page 22, you'll see the line called net investment in capital assets. Basically, that means that's what you've purchased already, so you can't spend that again. You don't have that available. But what you do have available is the unrestricted, which is the $516,000, which is the more important number on that section. So it looks like somebody might say you have $3 million sitting there, but you really don't. You have $500,000 that you could possibly spend. The rest of it goes to operate. Looking at your operating revenue on the proprietary funds, it's up roughly 10% year over year. It's currently at $938,000 for the year ended June 17, and which, like I said, is 10%. When it was all said and done, it was a slight increase, and I say slight, of $228,000. And just again, that 10% increase came from the required rate increases, and then there was some better management of expenses, which came in lower and netted the positive. And I know that that'll help keep the state off Irene's back, I know. So she's had to deal with them for a couple of years. I think that's the majority of what I really wanted to hit hard on. If you were to look at pages 26, continuing on, I want to say through 38, that is the notes, and that has a lot of detail of what these numbers are and what they mean. A little bit, obviously more than what I went over in the meeting, but I just wanted to kind of point that out. So you'd be aware, thinking, and if you really, really get insomnia and you're not capable of going to sleep, read the notes and you'll go right away. Especially if you hit page 34 of the retirement plan with the state. It's a snooze fest of several pages. It's what I read to my daughter to put her to sleep. So, but one thing I do want to point out on the pension plans, which is through the TCRS, we're very lucky in the state of Tennessee that it is one of the best funded plans in the nation. And just to know how sensitive these numbers are and how much they can change from one year to another, if you'll look at page 37 at the top, you'll see a thing, 1% increase, 1% decrease in current discount rates they use to do the calculations. 1% can go from your $238,000 asset to either down $100,000 or up $100,000. Yours is very unusual. I can tell you I have one right now that at the current discount rate it shows $19,000 asset. If it was to go down 1%, they owe $2 million. So if you see wild swings from year to year, it can really be because of the pension plan. So don't panic until you figure out if that's what it is. And this year it didn't change a vast amount, but it can change in the future.
So we're in good shape on that now.
Yeah.
We was behind a couple of years ago.
You're not behind. You're ahead of where you should be. And I would encourage you to stay there because you never know. I just wanted to point that out. That number can change from year to year, and I've seen that. It's now been in effect for 3 years, and I've seen it go from real ugly to pretty good. So let's hope it stays
Is
that
it
way.
based on stocks and stuff going up and down?
It's what they've invested, the state of Tennessee, what they've invested in, and they've done some pretty good jobs, but it really does depend on the stock market. If the stock market crashes, you'll see those discount rates go way down. Knock on wood, hopefully that doesn't happen. The state of Tennessee has done a pretty good job of managing that, and they've kept it funded. There's a lot of areas that didn't put in what they should have, and so they're severely underfunded to begin with. So they're even more impacted by changes. There's some more detailed items through the 40s section, just giving you each individual fund. I'm going to kind of skip through that so I know you all. I can bore people to tears, and I'm trying not to. I'm trying to get the important highlights. And I know what everybody's looking for, and I'm having a hard time finding it, because it should be 3 pages down. Is our report 56, 57, page 57, I'm sorry, that's what I'm looking for. Our independent auditors report on internal control and over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. Every year when we do our audit, we go in and we look at internal controls and certain compliance with certain laws as part of our audit. What we're looking for there is weaknesses or areas where there could be improvements. And in the past, we've found several items, and I can tell you if you were to look on the very last page, in 2016, there were roughly 6 findings. It's now down to all of 3. Again, it's the year before 15 was at 10, so you went from 10 to 6 to 3. So it's a good trend. I like seeing that, and it certainly helps us as auditors. And our first finding in 17 dealt with petty cash, and we've noted in here a cash shortage of $1,000. Well, we actually know that's not a cash shortage. We now know what it is, but when we issued the audit report, we didn't have that. So that is So if when you're reading that, keep in mind that that was already corrected. It was just something that wasn't available at the time, and it's now available. So that one will not repeat. That one is corrected. Finding number 2, inventory. I think we talked about this last year. Assets be safeguarded from shrinkage. And I think you, Ray, you mentioned that taking care of that right now, putting that in place. So I don't think that one will continue. And again, that doesn't mean that anything was really wrong. It just means that there weren't controls there to help assist and make sure that there was nothing wrong. And then our final finding is a bad debt. Again, it's a repeat, and it's where people simply haven't paid their bills, and those probably need to be written off just to clear those from your records, because at this point we're looking at people who are gone, no longer in the area, and probably just write those off. Again, none of these are severe, but it's worth pointing out to the board that you
Get them off.
Yeah, clean them up, turn them over to collections. I'm not sure what your procedures are, but that just helps clean up the books.
Are we talking about property taxes or
Those are water sewer.
water and sewer?
Yeah.
This was walked off on this?
Yeah, and that's where they've probably moved, possibly passed. You never know. Those are a little bit harder to collect than the property taxes. And it's not a huge dollar amount, but it does mean that you're maintaining records perpetually if you don't remove those. So just trying to clean that up. And as I mentioned on the last page, you can see where several of these were corrected, and then just 2 of them were repeated, and they're not what I would call massive repeats. So, and I can tell you just from working on the audit this year, it was the best it's been in the few years we've done it. And that hats off to everybody for making that happen. Sharon. It's a good job. I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't even bill you all the contract because I didn't feel like I needed to. It was that much of an improvement. I was able to do it in a little bit less time.
So we got a discount.
You got a discount. I don't get to say that often, so I'm going to point that out.
Usually it's the other way around.
Thank you.
Usually it's the other way around. I'm usually having to come back and go, it was so bad, I've got to
Do a little more.
charge you more.
I know.
But in this case, it worked out. I was very happy. And, that's what I had. If anybody had any more questions, I'm glad to try to answer them.
I think we should let the citizens see if they have any questions that they would like to ask. They get 3 minutes in the beginning, and then they get 3 minutes at the end. So if anybody has any questions now at the beginning that you would like to ask the auditor, does anyone have any questions? If not, then we'll. Yes, pertaining to the auditor. Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we're happy with a discount any time. Okay, we'll move on then, and we're down to citizens' comments. Does anybody have any comment on pertaining to anything that you want to ask? Okay.
My name's Kathy Leonard, and I'm building a house down at 316 McClellan Street, and it's not finished, but we're working on it. Anyway, we had parking signs put up down there a few years back, and they took them down when they worked on the road. You know, y'all done a real good job about fixing the road down through there and the sewer and all. It looks real good. But I'm requesting that we put the no parking sign back up in front of my property because people do park on that grassy knoll, and it does make a ditch line down through there. Creates the water line going down through there again. In time, it's going to cause a bad water problem, I think, again. And even though we had 2 signs on my side and one sign on the other side, they still parked. So I'm requesting maybe we could have one sign at the end of my property saying, no parking from here to corner. They put a curb on the opposite side, so they can't park on those people no more, but they sure can still park on me, and because I didn't get the curb. But already it's there to see. There's tracks where somebody's already come in there and started parking on that grassy knoll. And it's not that far from my fence. I've even got pictures to show if you need to see where they park so close to my fence line. I've got,
Do you know who it is?
well, the neighbors, and they have company when they're, I don't know the companies, when they have people come in there, especially through the summers, you know, they're just parked sometimes all the way up through that road there. And I just want to keep the problem down. I'm not here to cause problems, but I want to keep it down before it starts. And if we put that no parking from here to corner, maybe that'll stop them. They'd even park with two signs over there. They'd park above the sign or they'd park below the sign, you see. So it would make a bit of difference.
We'll get some more signs. We'll get some signs.
It's
to put
one's
up.
all we need if you'll say from here to corner, because they can't park over on the other side. It's got a
And it was there
curb.
before you moved there, before you built your house,
What?
the sign.
No. Oh, well, I've owned that property for over 20 years. And so I'm just now building my house. I've saved it all these years because my husband passed away, and I said, I'm going to downsize and move over there. And so that's why, you know, but I'm going to live there now. Just as soon as I get it, I'm moving in.
All right.
So I appreciate it just to keep the traffic flow out in front of me. I don't bother nobody. And Lord knows I'm not trying to stir up no trouble for nobody.
We
But
can
I
take
won't-
care of it.
I appreciate, you know, I won't infringe on nobody, and I don't want anybody infringing. And I do know that tore up that gully. I mean, it was a deep gully. You seen it before they started. It actually throwed all the water on the van below me. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Who's next?
Carolyn Payne, 4818 Bluff City Highway. I am going to once again ask the board members to vote to remove the temporary position of city manager from Irene Wells tonight. On January 24, 2018, a workshop turned into a road trip, and I was present. I saw on Carter Street where water has been running for over a year and a half. Alan verified that. And I feel sure many residents are paying for that water. Now there is discussion on adding additional streets, trying to buy 2 acres at the water plant. Where will the money come from? It shows absolutely no planning. At the last meeting, information was provided that Bristol Bluff, they treat our sewer, had gone up 4 cents. When I verified that information, it was 6 cents. And that increase started in July 2017, not when the new contract began in January 2018. The residents now have over a $3 million loan to pay back, and currently the only way to do that without new revenue is, as always, when pass it forward to the residents by increasing sewer, water, and property taxes. We lost our best possibility to bring in new revenue in the area of Piney Flats. We annexed in 1995. Can't lay sewer lines there now because we gave up those rights, meaning no growth, no new income. Our camera money will go away, and you heard how devastating that's going to be. Our 2 schools are going away. Along with that revenue, it's just a matter of a few short years. We must have proper planning during these critical coming years. The residents can no longer carry the burden. They are paying far too much right now and are broke. We desperately need new revenue. Free is not good. You get what you pay for, and if Bluff City is to survive, we must have a qualified city manager. I beg the board members to take back control and do the right thing. And Irene, I'm sorry because I know this is hurtful for you. And do the right thing for the residents they swore to protect and serve. We must look to our future and do what is best for the survival of our town, even if that means making hard but necessary decisions. Please take a vote tonight.
Bristol Bluff does not take care of our sewer, just in case you don't know. Bristol takes care of our sewer.
Bristol, but I believe it's called Bristol Bluff. I have the name of the person who called it later, but thank you for the minor correction.
Anybody else?
Carol Keith, 305 Lakeview Circle, Bluff City. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you, Alderman Smith, amen, and also just to echo a little bit what Ms. Payne had said, and it hurts me to even say this. I want everybody treated fair. I don't care who you are. I'll stand for what is right. I asked each and every one of you all, search your hearts, and if you know that something isn't right, then do the right thing. You know, this is a nice town, and we want it blessed, but God's not going to bless mess. You guys know that. And this time, when I went through, it was very much racism. And Miss Sharon over here, she's a sweet lady, and I'm sure she knows how to do things until you can get somebody in to help. This is not about race. And can't nobody pull a race card, so as people say, this is about what's right. And I mean, truly, I am not mad at you. But they need to set you down from being city manager. And I don't go behind nobody's back and talk. So I tell you to your face, I'm not mad at you, because it's a problem when you come into the office and have a request, and the mayor won't even speak to you. She turn around and look at somebody else and say, you do it. I'm a citizen. You can roll your eyes all you want to, and you did. But that's okay. I'm not mad at you. But I asked the board, search your hearts. If you have caught anybody being untruthful or anything, then do what's right, please. And maybe Miss Sharon or somebody can help in the office until y'all get somebody. I'm sorry, Miss Sharon, but I know you're a good, honest person, and I think that you could do that until you guys can find somebody that can do it. So if you would consider it, the police department, you can't even go over to the police department and discuss a matter without somebody saying something ugly. My little 14-month-old cousin drowned mysteriously, and we're trying to get an investigation. So that's why I was talking to the officer over there trying to get help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura Higgins, and I live at the 304 Lakeview Circle, Bluff City. And I want to answer to this. John Harrison said he owns the house on 553 Cedar Street. And now, how does he own it if his mother pays the taxes and insurance on her house? She also gets help for her taxes for being a senior. And she got 2 grants for work done to her house, while John said that he owns this house. Does this not sound like fraud of John Harrison and Alderman Sandra Harrison? Will you get someone to investigate how his mother got these grants when John Harrison says he owns that house?
Yes. Chief, can you investigate that?
It's something that the city would probably want to request.
Mr. Fry, can we do that?
TBI or something.
Mr. Fry?
The Homes Consortium, is that where it came from? Is that where we're talking about? Well, maybe they could answer the questions. I don't know. But
I mean, she's been paying the taxes with the senior discount all these years.
well, I mean, I don't know
It's
anything
helped.
about it.
From what I've heard, that TBI is doing an investigation on it right now. From what I've been
So
told.
we just need to talk to them.
I'm on the board, and from what I understand, they have been told that about what is proper. Did you not talk with them at the Home Consortium board? Because that's what they told me.
No. I had just heard that if she knew the shape my sister was in, she would have never approved it.
Well, you can go back and talk to them, but now I know that they got a telephone call from someone, and they told us board members. So I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you.
Okay. Thank you.
I agree with you. It stinks.
It does.
I
It
don't
does.
like it one bit.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to say something? Okay, if not, we'll move on. unless the board members has something to offer.
Well, here's what we're going to do right now. Everybody's going to calm down, because we're not going to start, okay? Everybody just, okay, well, we're adults here, and the mayor's of the meeting. It's not going to start, okay? You agree, Mayor?
That's right. If anything starts, they'll have to leave.
Everybody can act like it.
Does anyone else have any comments? If not, then we'll move on to the other business. It's a discussion and action resolution of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Bluff City authorizing the extension of $1,686,000 water and sewer revenue and tax bond anticipation note. Mr. Fry.
Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Bluff City authorizes the extension of maturity date of the outstanding note of May 24th, 2019. The mayor and recorder hereby authorized to execute and deliver such documents necessary to effectuate this extension. This is no new debt. It's just extending the interim. Yes, extending the temporary financing out a little longer.
Ms. West, if this is on the sewer on the streets we're talking about here, right?
Yeah. This is
Well, have you heard anything about the water plant yet?
Dave Wilson, as soon as he comes back, we'll have a workshop, and possibly, if he gets back in time, we'll have him to come on Tuesday when we have the other workshop. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Take a vote, please.
Who seconded?
David?
Alderwoman Madison,
Yes.
Alderman Stratton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bowen.
Yes.
Does anyone in the audience have any comments? I want to ask any question about it. We'll open the hearing. What time is it? Open the hearing. On the reconnection fees. We've already had a vote. Now we're having a public hearing where we reduce the reconnect fee from $50 to $25. And do we have a vote, a motion?
Go ahead.
Make a motion.
Let me read it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip you? I am so sorry.
Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Bluff City, Tennessee, that 18114 of the Bluff City Municipal Code shall be deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following language. Whenever service has been disconnected as provided, a reconnection charge of $25 shall be collected by the town before service is restored. That any ordinances in conflict herewith shall be repealed, and any ordinances not in conflict with this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall become effective from and after its final passage, public welfare requiring it.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the $25.
I'll second.
Okay, wait a minute. Before we have a motion, I need to ask if any of the citizens have any objections or if they want to make any type of comment.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you.
They can't pay his water bill. You will charge him $50 to get it back.
It's been a long time coming. We've tried to get that for years.
Okay. 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 Does anyone else have a comment?
Yes, if I can, I would just like to echo one thing and say this. If you all know what's going on and you do nothing about it, you're just as guilty.
Does anybody else have a comment? If not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to move the $50
fee and make it 25.
No, second.
Take a vote, please.
Alderwoman Madison,
Yes.
Alderman Stratton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bowen.
Yes.
Okay. I just have a comment to make on the Veterans Memorial. We're planning a meeting on Tuesday. Is 6 o'clock okay for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll set it for 6. Okay. Well, I'll let you cover it, Teresa. Okay.
Mayor, if we could back up before we forget it to vote to accept the audit report.
Oh, okay. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the audit report as read.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Take a vote, please.
Alderwoman Madison,
Yes.
Alderman Stratton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bowen.
Yes.
Okay, discussion and action on the financial report. Sharon Green, Citizen Recorder.
As of January 31st, 2018, general fund balance was $1,116,324. Sanitation fund was $16,502. The special police fund was $14,797. The debt service fund, $129,415. Sinking fund, $3,095. The water sewer fund was $696,651, with our total fund balance of $1,975,784.
Do we have a motion to pass the financial
I'll
report?
make a motion to accept the financial report.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Take a vote, please.
Alderwoman Madison,
Yes.
Alderman Stratton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harrington,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bowen.
Yes.
Okay, we have a report from the city attorney.
I don't have a report this evening.
Okay, comments from the board members. Alderwoman Sandra Madison.
I want to thank everyone for coming, and I want to ask the people want to set Irene Wells down for city manager. I'm bringing it up for a vote. I want to know if I get a second.
Yes.
Go back.
We're jumping the gun here.
Yeah,
Oh, we-
yeah. Okay, that comes under new business.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll have to wait.
No, the mayor under a charter is automatically the city manager unless, you'd have to go through the process of searching and hiring a city manager, searching for and hiring a city manager, and MTAS would be the vehicle, our MTAS representative, to do that, if you're looking at that.
So that has to be done before a vote's made, like she asked for.
Yes, because the charter, in the absence of hiring a city manager, the mayor is a city manager.
If we done it, the mayor can still act as city manager until we get one.
Yes.
Till we go through the process.
Yes.
But she won't be a regular city manager, but she'd just be a temporary until.
No,
we get
she'd
one
be
in.
she'd be a city manager until a city manager's found and hired. That's
That's
according to
what
the charter.
Yeah, we can still do that.
Is it not up to the board to vote on whether the process is continued or?
Yes, the board would have to vote to start the process through MTAS is what I'd suggest.
Let's bring it up for a vote then.
You have to wait for new business.
New business. Okay, Alderman Jack Stratton. Your comments, just comments.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out and taking part of it. you have to say one thing. Things have been getting better than what they used to be. Or they have been since I've been dealing with it. And just be thankful for what we got. I know that's a sorry excuse, but I've lived in Bluff City 40-some years, and it'd take about $50 to $75 million to get the way we'd like to have it. It's just a fact. There's a lot of money needs to be spent.
Oh, Vice Mayor Reagan.
Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you.
Alderman David Smith.
I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight, and I hope I make the right decisions for the town. I have been here a couple months, and some of the things that I've come across of has made the hair come up on my back. And I'll vote the way I think I need to vote for the best of the city. If it hurts somebody's feelings, I'm sorry, but I'm going to vote the way I think I should vote.
Alderman Richard Bolden.
I appreciate everybody coming out. I just wish we had a bigger crowd. There's many people that we do have inside the city that don't participate, but we just hope they read the website and get everything that's going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're down to the report from the city official and county commissioners. Chief of Police Greg Depew.
Good evening, Mayor and Board,
Good evening.
Sharon and Mr. Fry and all citizens. For the month of February, we had a total of 152 calls, issued 66 citations, 37 warnings, patrolled 4,337 miles, had 7 arrests, 6 offenses, 8 alarms, 7 accidents, 11 MSDs, had 2 domestic calls, and had 1 pretty good-sized drug arrest for the month. And we're just glad we survived the month. To be honest with you, we all had kind of I think all of City Hall had a flu bug. So we had 6 officers with the flu and 1 with the flu and pneumonia. So it was a pretty tough month, but we seemed to survive. But it was a good month, and everything went well. Everybody's working hard and doing good. And that's all I have. Any questions or concerns?
Chief, before you sit down, I would like you to make a statement concerning me ever messing in the police business and trying to say something about somebody or me running over there all the time. If you would make a comment on that.
I'm operating the police department as the head of the department as a police chief. I'm making the decisions based on the charges, based on the scheduling, based on equipment. I turn requests in, same as Alan does when we need something. So
I want you to have what you need.
We've been fortunate. This town's been good to us. As far as the police department, since I've been chief since 2011, I cannot recall many times we've made a request of something we've been able to show justification in what was needed, that we were given that. We try our very best to do with what we can without, spending things. We do the best we can, but I feel like our department is equipped and trained and prepared to answer any call that we'd have to answer. So.
Well, I think your officers are doing a good job to make $800,000. You're paying your way and a lot of other people.
Staying busy, always work to do, but things are good. We're working hard and looking forward to the future.
I've got a lot of confidence in this police department.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, board, mayor, and citizens.
Have I ever asked, you didn't answer the question, have I ever meddled in any of the police business that involved any of the citizens?
No, not that we've never had any discussions or anything over anything. I can't recall any thing certain that I've been asked about or anything. We meet pretty much daily, but we don't. It's a normal business.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works Supervisor Alan Moultrie.
Good evening, Mayor and the board. How are you all doing? When it comes to the sewer department, the pump stations are operating normally with there being no overflows occurring in the month of February at our pump station. We did get a few alarms during the rainy events that we've had. Unfortunately, in any of those situations, we did not overflow. So that fixture that we had on McClellan has improved our system. We still see that we got some other bugs that we need to get fixed, get some of these alarms taken care of, but we've never been at the point where we've overflowed since that fixture, and we've been improving since then. But going along with it, the staff has been continuing with the flushing of sewer lines in our known problem areas with our we are currently inspecting all manholes within the city limits and documenting any issues we find in order to comply with our sewer overflow response plan. As in the street department, the staff has been working hard keeping up with brush and leaf pickup around town. With the cold temperatures this winter season, I would like to ask the customers to be mindful that turning off water meters should be done by a city worker and not the customer. This year, we've had a few meter setters break this year due to customers turning themselves off while the meter has been frozen. While it appears that the meter was turned off properly, the meter turn-off valve ends up breaking due to it being frozen. So what we're basically asking, if a customer needs to get their water turned off, if they can either call down to City Hall or call the late night number that we have so we can get dispatch employee to turn it off, because although there's no malicious intent present, a customer could be charged with tampering of city property in case something breaks. So that's just a little heads up. I just kind of wanted to put in people's mind that if you need to turn off your water, once again, either call into the on-call number, or you can also place a turn-off valve at the home before it gets into the home, and then that would actually prevent that problem. I mean, I know it's easier just to go outside and turn your water off, but I mean, that you kind of putting yourself liable for the water meter, and it's the city that's responsible for the water meter and all that stuff that goes into it. So that's one of the things I would ask the public if we can be mindful of. But other than that, everything seems to be going in the right direction. I just ask that we all kind of work together to make this all happen. And if anyone has any questions, I'm open to ask. Go ahead.
The other night, I'd like to thank you and your men for the citizens of Bluff City. I think it was on a Friday night. We had the 6-inch line down there.
Thursday night.
Yes. Y'all done a good job. You had your barricades out. You had your coats on. I mean, you had your vest on. Both sides of the highways was blocked good. But there's one thing I'd like to do for y'all. When you was there at 8 o'clock, down in the mud, water shooting 40 foot up in the air, I seen some of the men trying to gather up $1 or $2 to get something to eat. I think Bluff City, if you're here at 8 o'clock, you ought to be able to go to the pizza place and get a pizza on the Bluff City. Does any of the aldermen have any objections? I don't. So you got that.
Okay, well that's good. Hunger always comes. So.
Oh, yeah, one more thing.
Okay.
Where are you at on the 8-inch line?
On the 8-inch line, where we're still in the process of kind of figuring out how we're going to go about doing it. We got to be mindful that if we do fix that 8-inch line, we got to be mindful that school will get cut out. So whatever we do would have to be done somewhat on the weekend. And another thing that I would like to point out. If we can't get the water off of us, and that's one of the issues that we've been having throughout this town, that some of these older valves aren't turning off. And an 8-inch line, if you can't get that water turned off, you put everybody that gets in near that hole in danger. So, I mean, that's one of the things we're going to have to be mindful. There's a lot of planning that needs to take place before you go into that.
All right, when we go up to the tank's only been half full, right? Since we got this oil.
We're around, no, well, I mean, we can fill
the big water tank.
It's been full.
We've been in the 50s. I've been trying to keep it around the 45 range. That way we don't have valves that start leaking.
Well, If we have to cut that off, go up at the big tank and put a pancake in between them valves. Then that way the water out of the tank can't come into the main system.
Yeah, but that's not the only
Yeah,
place.
that's not-
I know you got 2 or 3 places that you cut valves
Yeah, we've
off.
got probably more than that that's actually going to be feeding there.
But we,
The engineer to look at it.
we can come in early. A couple men come in during the night, do a pre-shutdown, get everything ready for 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I want to get that line fixed. I'm worried about busters on.
I totally agree with you. I want to get it fixed as soon as possible.
Do we
But
have to vote on that?
Excuse me, Alan, are we talking about the valve that's leaking?
we're talking about the valve that's
Okay.
leaking.
Yeah, because that's not an issue on your line breaking. It's the valve, and the problem is there's multiple issues. That's a larger line than what they're used to. You may even have to contract to have that repaired because the depth, you're going to have a trench box. You're going to have to set precautions, and with what it is and the men that we've got, we may not be able to actually do that job efficiently. And if we do it on a Saturday, if we run into problems and don't have parts, you're really messed up because you are down for the count.
Well, I turned in a
Because
request.
you never know until you get into that, what you're going to, and especially with the older places.
It's going to be temporary until they come up there through that Carter Street, putting that line in. Like I suggested, we don't have no 8-inch valves in stock. I turned a thing in about 5 weeks ago to the mayor to go ahead and be getting a valve. We should have all that stuff here, don't we, Mayor?
Yeah, but once we
And
get
that's
into
not the real problem. The engineer has been looking at this job also, and this is no fast fix. I'm sorry, I agree, and you've been real ambitious about it.
Well, I've
But
been ambitious about it because it took over a year and a half to get somewhere, and that's too long.
Yeah, it was leaking for one extended period of time. Then they were able to do some things on the valve, trying to get the packing or whatever to stop. And then it started leaking again. There's a lot worse leaks out there that we don't even know about.
Right.
But that specific leak is an inconvenience for the biggest part because of what's coming out. The amount of water is not as large as you would think it is, but the seriousness of the repair, it has to be repaired. But we've got to make sure our employees are going to be safe at doing that, and we're capable of doing it.
Yeah, I agree with that. If our employees can't do it, we need to get a contractor in here to do it. What I'm looking at, if a commode would run $800 a month, what do you think that's running? I'm down there every day checking that thing.
Yeah,
My knees are wore out looking down that grate. There's a lot of water going through there, thousands of dollars worth of water. It took over a year and a half. It should never take that long. We should have hired a contractor to come in here and do that. I want this thing fixed.
I agree.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
you can be looking at it if you want to.
What I was going to do is wanted to know if we as a board done an incentive program, for people that come in and work after hours and stuff like that. Do it like give them 8 hours of vacation time or something like that. Would that be a good incentive?
It sounds appealing, yes.
I mean, because, a lot of people I know, because me as a manager at a restaurant and stuff, it makes it more complicated whenever you have things that happen like that and you need to get somebody to come in. You give them incentive.
To come in.
Yeah. So I'd like to.
That sounds like a great idea. I'm more for that.
And the incentive program, I would also recommend on all your leaks for your customers and your employees to have an incentive that they would find leaks and help us with those leaks. Because once we find those, especially the smaller leaks can easily be
add up.
done.
Yeah.
But
and they
this
add up
one
just
has
as
gotten
well.
quite a bit worse.
Yeah, like one thing about these leaks that we are having, I mean, you have some leaks that show themselves and some leaks that don't show themselves. This was one of those leaks that's going straight down. we didn't know for quite a while. And then when we did find out, trying to find a solution to get it fixed is another hassle. And I do agree, we do need, like me and Dave from Mattern and Craig, we have met up. We've mapped out what all valves we need to get turned off. It's just all a matter of testing everything, and just based off of some of the leaks that we've fixed in the last couple months, our main issue is turning off valves. Like, if you can't get, that's one thing that I can say that's been hindering some of our work. That's why it's taken so long to get certain leaks, because we're having to fix these leaks under pressure. And fixing a leak under pressure is rough. And then, I mean, when we're speaking in terms of an 8-inch line, if you can't get that water turned off, you think you got a street there now. After that pipe gets opened up, you won't have a street.
Can we shut the plant down long enough?
We can.
The problem is we've got several ways the water is getting to that location, and it's not one specific thing. Of course, the plant will actually be off, and we'll manipulate the lines.
We can cut the valve off, go back to bridge.
We can turn Bristol Bluff off.
But the thing about it is, the time we drain everything, and you don't want to drain everything you've got, because if you do, you've got a whole
lot of
group
testing
regulations for the state that you're going to have to jump through, so you can't do that. But what we have been looking at is we're going to isolate the area and try to get as many valves as we can in that area that's going to work for us. We'll try it out, even if we have to install blow-off, a tap somewhere to make sure that we're going to drain that water. Yeah. If it's not, then we've got to go to each of those locations and figure out which one's not working. So it's not as simple as just installing a new 8-inch valve. We may be installing several valves, not just one. Yeah. And there's lines that you've got that may not even be on our maps.
But honey, it shouldn't take a year and a half.
Well, it may not take a year and a half, because you've got so many things going on, and I don't know what was going on a year ago or so, but I can tell you, once it gets to this point, you've got to fix it, not just because of the leak, because of the issues that leak could cause.
What's getting me is we're buying water off of Bristol, and we're paying to have that water treated out there, and it's going into Boone Lake, and nobody's paying for it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see somebody start paying for it.
Oh, I'd like to see that too. I agree.
One more thing. You got that detector out there?
Yes.
I was a board member here several years ago. They got that out there. He walked it every day. He cut this water rate down in half. I'd like to see you put your men on it and give us a report at the next meeting. How many streets you walk down? Start walking this whole city out. Just take one man, change him out. Don't let him do it every day on 30 days. And to see how fast we can get these leaks stopped up and see what we can do with it.
We'll see
and
about
give me a report next month.
I can see about doing that.
Could you tell the board about what the things that we have to have done by the end of this month?
That's the sewer overflow response plan. Basically, what we have to do, we got to go and inspect every single manhole that's in the town. And what we got to do, we'll basically notate which manholes we have issues with, just based off of some of the manholes we've have seen so far. We got a couple that needs to be refurbished. So, I mean, there's a ton of work that needs to be done throughout this town, and it's going to be a test for us, and that's why I'm asking. I mean, we all just need to come together and agree on certain things, and we need to prioritize on what needs to get done first, because it's more than just a water leak going on out there. I mean, there's tons of issues, just like the issue that we had on going towards Weaver Branch down there. I mean, Dry Branch down there. We had that cave that kind of opened up and exposed that line. And, I mean, there's tons of issues throughout town that needs to be addressed. But, yeah, we really do need to prioritize what needs to get done. I mean, I'm all for fixing that 8-inch line. That's going to save a lot. I mean, I agree.
That is something that has to be done by the end of the month for the state of Tennessee.
Did we try to get some money off of the state? Because they poured that concrete in there on that 6-inch line. Did we try to get any money for our labor and stuff for what they've done?
I mentioned it to them, and They said they checked, but I don't think that they're going to pay for it.
And that was twice that they've done that. So.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, I want to work with you, Alan.
No, I mean, like, since you've gotten on the board, you've been one of the first aldermen that actually came and tried to find solutions to what we got going on. So I'm actually all with you on that. But we just kind of need to get together and just kind of find ways that we can get this done, because we don't have an unlimited fund that we can kind of tap into. So every little bit of count, and it all starts here. So I mean,
let's put that 8-inch on top of the fry.
I got you. Well, we will. But do we have any other questions?
Okay.
You all right?
Thank you. Teresa Nidifer, Water Plant Operator.
Teresa Nidifer. What we'll do is I'll give you some information about the January's water usage and report. In January, we pumped out over 7,346,000 gallons. During that month, we also did 3 EPA samples. One trihalometane sample, meeting the federal and state regulations, 3 bacteriologicals, and all of these came back good. On August, we had some, the average chlorine in your system is 1.79 parts per million. And the plant was down during different times, so we had some frozen things at the tank where your telemetry froze up, and we were able to fix that pretty easily. They flushed 4 lines, which was a little over 6,000 gallons that we flushed out. In problem areas, they've got to flush more lines. And with all leak detection, 70%, this is a fact, a state national fact, 70% of leaks do not surface to the surface. So, leak detection, if they were a magical way to find all the leaks, and leak detection, we've done leak detection and we continue to do leak detection. But if there's a magic way, we would be millionaires if we could find all the leaks. And I would love for us to do that. I would love to invent something that we could find those. But what we've got to do is enhance and work with what we have. And one of the major things, and I think they've already done some of this, Mayor, is while I was gone, they ended up cleaning up some of the easements. Have they done those? I noticed some of the things that I've noticed. But we've got to clear out those easements, and that's where your water lines are laying cross country. Now you've got trees this big in those easements, and if you know construction, you can't have trees this big near a water line. So that is the first place you want to start looking for your leaks, And by cleaning those easements, you will have that. And the mayor has been really good to work with us to do that. And on the other hand, I've heard so much about your mayor, but I honestly believe she has the heart for Bluff City. And she has worked diligently behind the scenes that you guys are not really familiar with. But dealing with EPA, the state, the comptrollers, there's a lot of information, and you've got to be pretty vastly familiar with a lot of this. And for somebody to come in without a lot of that experience, she has gained a ton of experience. And it's because she was put in the fire, and she's had to fight her way through some of this. But she is what we need at the moment to get things finished here. She has got a really good start going, and we need to continue. If you keep switching through the middle of your ball game, you're not going to win anything. But if everybody would come together and work and help and just forget about everything else, help, look for Bluff City. Bluff City is where your whole game is, because Bluff City, the customers here, put you guys in the place to do the best for Bluff City. There's not very many people I know of that would be in a position as city manager that wouldn't get paid. That is just unheard of, and wouldn't take some of this backbiting and all the other things that you have heard. I'm sure there's not a one of you that would sit there in that chair and put up with that. But I am here to tell you, I've worked around a lot of city managers. Your city manager doesn't have to know everything. They have to know how to manage. She is the tightest penny pinching person I've ever seen. And that's why your budget is doing so well, because that's what she's doing. She is managing for Bluff City. Now, you've got other people in places, and they need to do their job. So when you have somebody and you get somebody that knows it, you can't say, oh, I don't like them, and just throw them back out. You've got to let somebody come in and do the job. Now, everybody's not going to like the people you hire. Nobody likes everybody. But when you get somebody that will do that job, let them do it. Because she cannot be a water operator. She cannot be a collection operator. She cannot be the accountant. But she is managing those people that are supposed to be doing the job. And with the people that are doing the job, she is doing a very good job at doing just that. So for Bluff City, I hope you do the right thing. But you're going to mess up really badly when you start switching things when it's finally going somewhere. But if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I get one more second? Board, can I have one more? I want to clarify something.
Since 2011, being police chief here, we've made some tough decisions. Being a police chief's not an easy job. Being a police officer's not an easy job. We all have tough jobs. I promise you, stand before you tonight telling you, I will never, as your police chief, let no one influence me in a decision when it comes to a criminal charge that I make or anything in violation of the law. When we go to investigate something, we do a thorough job, and then we go forth to the DA's office for advice. That's who would lead and direct me in anything that we do. But as far as me allowing someone else to discourage me or encourage me on any crime that's committed in this town, I assure you that will never happen.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, we're down to Sullivan County Commissioners, and we don't have any here. We don't have any here. Okay, and we'll move down to old business. So, does the Alderman have any comments or whatever you want to do? Okay, if not, we'll move on to new business.
I'd like to see about doing an incentive program and get that in the works for the employees. You know,
Okay.
maybe offer them 4 or 8 hours, whatever. You know, whatever y'all think as city manager and public works director, whatever you think would help the workers. You know, to get them to come in and work overtime. You know, when it's needed. You know, like give them some extra vacation time, and of course feed them when
Feed
they
'em.
come in.
Yeah.
Got to feed them.
Can I ask you a question on that right quick?
Go for it.
Do you pay them overtime?
Yes. But that still does that still.
That is, excuse me just a minute. Let me just finish one little thought here.
Go for it, David.
I'm very quick. That's their incentive. And let me tell you something. I saw these guys work down in front of my old motor home down there. What did I tell you, Alan? They went above and beyond. They shouldn't even been there. I told them to go home and come back the next day. But the incentive that you give them is the overtime.
That does not work. Me being a manager of a restaurant and over 32 employees, you can beg, you can plead, you can offer them every. It does not happen. But no, but I mean, it'd be a lot, because I know they fuss about
I mean,
everything.
like whenever you get called out after hours.
At 2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning, it is a little strenuous. It keeps you away from your family for the most part.
Exactly.
But
that would make them feel a little better, though. Because they're able to take more time off if they down the road, because it can be scheduled.
Any incentive, I'm all for.
Free money, free
Yeah.
money.
Well, I mean, that'd be vacation time, would be time off. Because you all accrue vacation time.
Let me say this is something that we're not going to decide tonight. It's something that we need to give further thought to and look at our employee policy.
Right, that's
as a
what I
whole.
meant in the book, in the appointment book.
Okay. Do we have any other new business?
Any new business?
No. I have a question. Could I get a copy of the city ordinances from Bluff City? Is it, you all do
They're
see?
online.
They're online.
You have to look up online, they're online.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the new business, can we make a thing to set Irene Wells down? Or we have to wait?
Go ahead now.
Can I do one?
No, you would have to hire a city manager. You can't vote the mayor out as city manager. You would have to go through the process and hire a city manager because the charter is clear on that.
Well, I'll make a motion that we take the mayor's position from Irene Wells. Anybody second it?
I second it.
Take a vote, please.
That's an improper motion.
Make it official.
You would have to, if you're doing the city manager, if you're wanting to hire a... Go
We're
ahead.
not going to do the city manager now. We're going to get rid of the mayor.
Can't do that.
Well, you can't do that. She's an elected official.
Can't do that.
Is there anything else? Okay, we're back down to citizens' comments, the second session. If anyone wants to make a comment, come to the podium, and you have 3 minutes.
Carolyn Payne, 4818 Bluff City Highway. Mr. Fry, got it right here. Tell me what page for city manager. Says not the way that I read Bluff City's charter.
Well, that's my interpretation. I just gave my interpretation of the charter.
Well, you're the attorney, and that's what I would have to take.
I don't want an interpretation. I want the actual statements of where it says for city manager.
Under the mayor's position,
No, it does not state that in here.
it does state it under the mayor's position. That if no city manager, the mayor, it reverts back to the mayor's position.
That is why we need to take a vote for a city manager. You cannot have it both ways.
Paul Fry stated earlier we had to go through MTS to do that if they were going
No,
to.
we don't have to go
I would suggest to go through MTS if you're going to search for a city manager rather than hiring a search firm.
Why don't they just take a vote of whether they're going to do it or not do it, and get it over with? I mean,
Town manager. Let's see. Let me find. That is C22. If anybody, do you have the charter in front of you? Does anybody have the charter in front of them?
No, I've interpreted this section of the charter.
Well, I'm taking
29.
your interpretation. That's,
I'm
no
going
matter.
to.
I mean, so
well, of course
until we find out different, it's closed. So unless you have something else, we're finished.
See, here's the one for me.
Does anyone else have a comment?
Town manager. Appointment to perform duties until manager appointed. Now, that's all we're asking to do tonight. Go ahead, publish it in the paper to appoint someone in the position. That's it. It's right here. C-17. C-17. Know your own charter. Come on, people. And why is it listed in the budget for $10,000 for city manager, even though you're not paying $10,000? I mean, God, do you all know what you're doing? Take
Okay,
a
I
vote.
think I've had enough.
No, well, no.
Just so I'm finished.
My 3 minutes is not up. Sandy, will you
There it is.
ask for another vote?
Okay.
I just
I'll
read.
ask. I just read. But I don't think it'll do any good, but I'll ask.
Carol Keith, 305 Lakeview Circle, Bluff City. This is really sad. And I don't, Mr. Bowling, you know me. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I want everybody treated fair, okay? And when I observe and see people mistreated, I mean, I can't be quiet, you know, because I'm going to stand for what is right, and I'll stand up for people. But I've seen it, and I stood up for you. And the thing about it is, before people speak about and say things, make sure you know both sides of the coin. Make sure you know the full picture, because everything isn't the way it appears. And as I stated before, I'm a black woman, you're a black woman, I don't look at color. But you need to sit down. It's because of the treatment. And if some of these people would come forth and be honest and speak up to the board and let the board know how they've been treated. But the people have to do it. I can't do it for them. So this is my last appeal for now, is to stand and ask the board. And also I'd like to ask you that whenever you do put somebody in position, if you do that, please don't make the mistake of giving one person all that power. Also, I'd like to ask the board, if you decide to keep the mayor, if someone has a problem, an appeal, instead of going to the mayor, why can't they come before the board? And I have not forgotten it, because I stand with him. I remember James Richardson 3 weeks before Christmas was fired, and there were 7 people. None of the board members were at the meeting, but I've got the video, and I would love for you all to listen to it. 7 people stood and said the same thing that James said, but James was fired. And then he got unemployment, and then his unemployment was stopped, and he had to pay back. So I do ask the board that if you decide to keep the mayor, please don't give one person all that power. And if the chief or anybody's got a problem, can they come to you, and would you listen to it before somebody can say, well, you're gone? Also, I know I got 3 minutes. I know we have to have a city manager. Miss Sharon, she's a sweet lady, and fire, couldn't she kind of help run things until y'all get a qualified city manager?
What about Miss Payne?
And also, one more thing, Mr. Boland, I would like to ask you this, that if nothing changes here, and I ask you in front of all these people, if I have a problem and need some assistance down here, would you come and go with me here to try to help me get it straightened out?
Yes.
Or Mr. Smith?
Yes. Well, we voted one time before that on things like that right there, the city manager had full control on hiring and firing.
Yeah.
We did do that.
Yeah.
And it's not changed.
Well, it needs to be changed, because if somebody don't like you, you know, but I'm going to my seat, but pray about it and think about it. And if you sit there and knowing people are doing wrong and you do nothing, you're just as guilty. That blood's on your hands.
Thank you.
Staggering a little bit, because I guess I sit so long the leg went sleep. I'm Billy Wells. I'm Billy Wells, Bluff City, 198 Holston Drive, 538-5877. I come to just about every meeting here, and I want to tell the board how proud I am of you and the workers. I mean, I watch. I was the mayor for 12 years. And back in the old days, I could do just like Mr. Smith says. If I wanted a pipe fixed, I'd go out there to let the men go dig a hole, fix it right now. But now, I'm thankful that we got a new board, because like my wife reminds me, she's my wife, the mayor, things has changed. Before I can start digging any kind of line now, you got to go through all kind of numbers, all kind of agencies, or otherwise you go to jail or pay a fine. And I see, Mr. Smith, I'm proud of you for wanting to get it done right now. But now you ought to make a pledge. We had another mayor that did all this stuff and didn't listen to the state and got us in all kind of trouble. Okay, now if you want to do all this and get us in trouble again, you should make a pledge that you'll pay the fines. The state fines.
Okay? It's not like I can't do it like I used to do. I get on her, man, I did this, I did that. But things have changed now. The laws have changed. So, I'm proud of the board for taking the time and get your engineers. That's what you're paying the engineers for, to find the solution to his problem. I mean, I can't go out there and do it. You got an engineer already hired. Let him do it. So I'm real proud of you. And just keep it up. And I come to the meeting every time, and I try to keep my mouth shut because I know things have changed since I've been. I was in there for 12 years, but everything's changed. So I'm proud of you. Thank you. Thank you. If you can't do it in a year and a half, get all these things down, you ain't going to get it done.
It might take 10 years when you go with the state.
It don't take a year and a half. I worked in the easement, dug all kinds of.
The charter has never changed. The city manager can fire and hire any hourly employee.
We're not talking about that.
Yes, she did. One just got up there.
Well, I'm not discussing that, though.
And the salary comes under the board, and the charter has never been changed. It's always been that way. She has the right to do what she's done.
I agree.
And the citizens has a right to get a petition up for a recall and do something about it.
They do.
We didn't argue that point. They've had recalls here before and lost.
I think we ought to get them again.
Do we have any other comments?
Are we going to take a vote tonight?
We've been through that. Mr. Fry has already gave us a legal opinion, and that's what we have an attorney for. And I do have something I'd like to say. I would like to say that I've always, since I've been here, did the things that I think is best for the city. I have tried to take care of the city's money because I know the money don't belong to me. And with Sharon and I, our help together, I think we've done a pretty good job.
Done a great job.
And I don't ask the chief anything about anybody's business. I never have. I never will. Because I don't feel like that I should be involved in the police business. And I've told him before, I do not want to know what's going on in the police department because I don't need to know. I want the citizens to feel like they can talk to anybody in this city without me knowing one earthly thing about it. Because I want them to feel safe, and I want them to feel like that they can go to the police department and ask them anything. And I don't ask them about anything else. And I don't not speak to people. That's not me. I walk into a grocery store or anywhere, past people that I don't even see, and speak to them. I mean, that's me. I'm not hung up on titles. I'm not hung up on money. I care about this city. Anybody can say anything they want to about me, but I think most of the citizens here, as long as I've been here, they know what I stand for. So, do whatever y'all want to do, but I feel real good about what I've done while I'm being here. And I want to thank you for listening to what I've said. And, and as far as firing somebody, everything, anytime I've fired anybody, I've taken the information to the attorney. He has looked over the information. I didn't have to go to the attorney, but I did because I wanted to do right. And as long as I'm here, I will continue to do right. I mean, I've had people to jump on me and lie on me since I've been here, and it's been really sad because it's really bad when you're not doing these things that people say. But, God knows. He sees all things. And I tell you what, I'm proud of myself, whether you all or not. And I will do the best I can, like I said, as long as I'm here. And I will do right. And I am not going to do wrong because I never have and I never will. Thank you very much. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Take a vote, please.
Councilwoman Adams? Yes.